Hello, 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 everybody. Give me a second. I just gotta make sure this thing is working. I'm just paranoid. That's all. So give me just a sec. Let me make sure this is running well. And then when it starts, we will get going. I just like to be sure. You never know what's gonna happen with technology. All right. Then when it starts, we're rocking and rolling. I'm just making sure. I'm starting a little early. I like to do this purely because Um, I get to spend more time with you guys. Hey, Matthew. Thanks for joining. See, I don't even need to do these things anymore. I'll just get Matthew in here. He'll teach you guys everything. But Matthew's my moderator. I always appreciate you being here. Thank you, Matthew. Um, uh, how's it going? It's 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm a little tired, to be honest, but I'm got my trusty cup of water. I'm ready to go. Uh, this Q&A, if you haven't been to one before, I'm doing these every single week. I did them all July. I'm going to do them all August. I'm probably going to do them for the rest of the year. And we're just going to make this a weekly thing because I've had so many people have so many questions. It's hard to reply to every single person. And so taking an hour out of my weekly schedule and spending it with you guys is honestly better than what I would usually do. So it's pretty great. And we're just going to be asking questions. I'll try to answer them. If I don't know, I will tell you. But the good thing is if I don't know, someone in the chat might know. So let me know where you are. Let me know where you're from. I'm in Charleston, South Carolina right now. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Got my kids out the door. Got them breakfast. Got them lunches. All that good stuff. And now my wife's taking them to camp. And so, thanks, Christine. I appreciate that. I'm gonna start off. We're gonna get started. We got the full hour, and then at the very end, I'll be doing a giveaway, like I do every stream. I do a giveaway of my courses just for free. There's nothing you need to do. It's just giving back, and I appreciate you guys, and so I wanted to do that. Um, all right, the first question is a good one. This is a name I see almost every stream. Taha Nafal. I think I say that right. If I don't, let me know. But it says, "Hi, how do you personal brand for an individual as a data professional?" Personal branding is really interesting. You know, I think everyone should have a little bit of personal branding, at least a little bit. Doesn't have to go extreme. You don't have to make YouTube videos or LinkedIn content or all these different things, but you should at least have some type of personal branding. What I mean by that is even just take a LinkedIn profile. You should have a good headshot. You should have a good, header image. Have a good subject line for your summary of who you are. A good profile. Even that is somewhat personal branding, right? On a very small scale. It's like the bare minimum that I think you need to do. But personal branding goes beyond that. You can, like I said, you can create, written content or share your thoughts on things or share projects. These are things that'll help, just bolster your public image, if you want to say it like that. Doesn't mean you're sharing it to thousands of people or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. It just means you're creating some type of personal brand. But if you want to take it to the next level, you want to go from just an individual contributor and you want to get a little bit more of a following, then that's where you just need to be consistent with the content, make it useful to people. And consistency is the biggest and most challenging thing that almost everybody faces, which is there's only so much to write about, and it can be hard to stay consistent after 3 months, 6 months, a year. It can be very difficult, and so yeah, that's kind of some of my tips. Chess asked about data analyst internships. I don't know much about internships as a data analyst. I only know what I've heard from other people, which is um, you can get internships through something like a college, or people do place internships online. There's sort of websites specifically for internships. I just don't know them. That's not something I've ever really dived into. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not a lot of help on that one. Alicia Diston said, Alex the Analyst, I love these live streams you do. Let's go. Thank you. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. Uh, Shajai Abbas said, "Can I make my own business after learning data analytics?" It's absolutely possible. It is, I would say, difficult if you're just starting out. Because if you're trying to start your own business, I'm thinking like, you're trying to take on clients, you want to, do consulting or freelancing, you really have to know what you're doing. And that doesn't usually happen until 5+ years of experience or several years of experience at least, to where people will at least be like, hey, I could pay this person to do this job and I know he'll do a good job. So usually experience comes first, and then you might be able to start your own business. But, prove me wrong. I don't know. What do I know? But that's my take on it. I hope that's helpful. Same guy, but said, I have learned Excel, SQL, and Python, but I couldn't get good data to work with it. So I want something good to practice on. So data sets, I have several videos on places to find good data sets. And these are real data, messy, messed up, complicated data. Data.gov is one of the best places. But if you're looking for a broad range of things that's not data government related, then Google Dataset Search is a great place to go because you can just search for it and it'll give you options for places like links out to different places. All right, this is from Joyce M. Hi, Alex. You advise job seekers to use recruiters in their job search. What is your take on how to find/connect to recruiters? You're appreciated. Thanks for what you're doing here on YouTube. Thanks. Well, thanks, Joyce. Um, Recruiters are like really tricky. So the best way to work with recruiters is to live in a big city. And I hate to say that, but that is a fact. Um, Recruiters tend to live in metropolitan areas: Dallas, Austin, New York, Chicago, big metropolitan cities. I'm talking about the US, but you can apply this to wherever you are. They tend to live there because there are more larger companies that are hiring, and therefore there's a demand for recruiters to hire for the positions that they need. So that's kind of like one of the biggest life hacks is having the ability to live near a metropolitan city. It sucks to say, but that is true. The other thing is, um, that's just if you want to work with a recruiter to find random jobs. If you're looking for specific jobs, like for me, I would know exactly what companies to apply for because I've either worked for them or I've worked in a certain space, a certain sector where I know I could get a job at this place. I would reach out to recruiters directly at that company. You can do that on LinkedIn. I have a whole video on how to reach out to recruiters on LinkedIn. I think it's titled that, How to Reach Out to Recruiters on LinkedIn or something like that. It's at the end of my data analyst bootcamp on YouTube. And basically, you can search by company, you can search by even departments, and then you can filter by the recruiters, and you can find the recruiters and you can reach out directly to them. There should be, at big companies, there'll be several internal recruiters, and I recommend reaching out to those people and just have something, a short little snippet of something to say. In that video, I know I put, what to say on there or a little kind of message. Guys, no spamming. Matthew will stinking cut you out of the universe. You will never message any live stream again. Don't do it. I'm not even messing. If I started spamming, Matthew would he would he would ban me. I'd be out of here. All right, let's see. Um, let's see. This is an interesting. I don't even know if I 100% know the answer. I'm just going to read it and then I'll think through it as I'm reading it. It says, "Hi Alex." This is from Nicholas Edwards. "Hi Alex. I'm Nicholas from near Indy, Indiana. Love your content and outlook on life." Oh, thanks. Me too. I like my outlook on life. What are the top things to know about automating analysis with code and using cloud platforms for job executions? So automation has been a piece of uh, data, data analysis, data engineering, data science, whatever it is, for a long time. Automation is nothing new. But automating it, knowing when to automate it and how to automate it can be tricky. And usually optimizing those automations is also a little tricky because it depends on so many different factors. And usually a lot of this comes with experience, right? Knowing how to automate small reports is very different than automating giant reports. Very, very different. So usually what you just have to do is you have to kind of understand your data, understand what your end goal is, and you have to finish that process end to end first before you even think about automating it. What I mean by that is, uh, when I was, you know, doing a lot of automation back in the day, we would do the entire data cleaning process just with like code and scripts and Python and SQL, a lot of stuff in there. Um, and then what we would do is we'd finish it, we'd get the output, we'd check the data quality, we'd have all these data quality checks. We even had QA testers that would then go into the data and they would check things and get back, give us feedback. But we would finish the entire process. Then we're like, okay, all the code's good for what the data is right now. Everything looks nice. Then we would automate it. It depends on how much data it was, what it was for. But sometimes we'd use things like SSRS, SSIS. We'd use Python. If it was a lot of data, it was sitting in the cloud. We'd use things like Scala or Databricks within it. And so it really is very large variables. But automation, you don't want to spend the time automating something that's going to be used once a year, right? So you also have to look at, is this worth automating? Because I've known people who automate things that'll save like, it takes them hours to do, and it's going to save them like 1 minute a month. And it's just not worth it. Maybe it is to them, but it's not worth it for most people. And so, that's some of the factors. And then using cloud platforms for job executions. Um, there are boilerplate stuff like AWS Glue, Azure. Oh, geez, why am I blanking on what it's called? Azure Data Factory. These are like boilerplate stuff that have the ability to dive in and write more custom code into it. So they are really good systems, but the cloud is expensive. So again, if you do things wrong, if you do things with just automate everything, it's going to be a huge bill. So you have to be really specific and know what you're doing on that. Give me a second. My wife is messaging me. She said that shirt looks fire. Thanks. I think Christine bought this for me. No, I got this through like um websites that like sends you a package and then if you don't like it, you send it back. I think I got it uh through that. But thank you, baby. I appreciate it. Um so uh you just have to kind of know how to use those systems. They can get very complex, and I mean very complex. But you can work with the generic drag and drop for things to kind of pull and push and clean up a little bit. But that only gets you so far. Then you need to be able to write the code to do the more in-depth stuff, to do the more advanced things. That gets tricky, but it's absolutely 100% possible, and I think you should learn it. I personally used Azure a ton. I love Azure. AWS, I like. It's just not as much. Certain features within AWS I like more. I don't like Google Cloud Platform. Um, Tony Econ said, "Good afternoon, sir. I replied to your post on X as regards to accessing your website here in Nigeria. It isn't possible unless I use a VPN." Yes. Analyst Builder, for whatever reason, they blocked our cloud provider. Not us, but our cloud provider. And so in Nigeria specifically, within that country, yes, it is blocked. We don't know why. We've messaged and we've asked and we've trying to figure it out. It's not working. You have to use a VPN. It just is how it is right now, unfortunately. Um, by the way, shameless plug. Now that we have some questions in, if you want to get 2 weeks free to Analyst Builder, you can take a full course in 2 weeks if you have some time. You can get that down below. Go ahead and try it out. Um, Okay, that's sorry. I was reading Josh, the data analyst. Hey, thanks for joining, Josh. Josh asked some great questions. He's a good contributor in here, but he was just answering somebody on internships. Thanks for doing that because I don't know as much about that. So shout out to Josh. Let's see. This is another question on data sets. So this is Chethan BA. Can you guide on getting big data sets, which are rich in data, even with large data sets on Kaggle? Most of them are less columns, 3 to 4. Uh, yeah, so what you're looking at, Kaggle is a curated website. There's not a lot of raw data on Kaggle. And I used to use Kaggle a ton. But then you reach a certain point where you're like, this data is actually really easy. It becomes too easy. It becomes almost like uh, it isn't worth using anymore because Kaggle data sets typically aren't even real data. It's kind of transformed after the fact, transform data, and then people upload it. If you want real data, go to any government. Am I right? Go to any governmental website, and they'll have some raw data for you. And it's giant, it's massive, hundreds of thousands of rows, 20 rows wide. That's government data for you. Um, and I use those in a lot of projects, even on YouTube, but also a ton in Analyst Builder because those projects, that data is so difficult to work with, that you have to really dig in and understand how to use it. And so yeah, if you want to work with real messy, giant, crappy data, uh, government data, wherever your government has data, it will be bad. That's just a little government joke for you. But it's true. Data.gov. Go check it out. Um, Asala Mohammed. Hello, Alex. Thank you for your amazing bootcamp. I have a question. What is the most important part about MySQL? The most important part about MySQL is just being able to get access to data. That is what MySQL is for. And there's a ton they can go more in depth with. But being able to store data in it, being able to retrieve that data is the most important thing about MySQL. And so knowing how to do that effectively and knowing how to scale that, especially as the data gets into the millions, hundreds of millions, billions of rows, knowing how to do that well is really important. That's why I have a MySQL regular course. I have an advanced MySQL course that goes into even things like indexing, which is how you can work with larger data sets more efficiently or query more data sets more efficiently. All right, let me see. Keep it PG. Josh, what was I saying? I don't even know what I was saying. He's calling me out though. um, Mohammed Amin, what AI skills should I learn to increase my chances of getting a job? And what powerful projects should I build to really stand out to employers? So AI skills, in my opinion, just knowing the knowing how to use AI, knowing how to prompt it, how to feed it things. Right now, that's kind of where we're at. AI agents, if you want to even look at things like that, are, in my opinion, overkill for most people getting into AI at the moment. 95% of employers are not using agentic AI agents in any way. They're just using AI as like a tool to help build. Okay. Now Christine's just texting. Now we're just having. Maybe I should just get Christine on the phone right now. She's texting me. She said you said crappy data. Christine, if you want to just call me, give me a call. I'll get you on the stream when you get home. I'm turning. Well, I'm not going to turn this on, but if you call me, I'll get you on the stream. But if you come home, join me. Sounds like Christine wants to be on the stream today. Uh, which I'm more than happy with. I want her to be on the stream. Um, I think she's still coming up back from dropping off the kids. Anyways, I'm getting distracted. She's distracting me. I get distracted by her. Um, but I would just know how to prompt things, knowing how to, use chain of thought to find analysis in your data, know how to feed it CSV files, things like that. That's what it's really useful for in 95% of the use cases today. Projects. Projects are unique because I have a ton of projects. I have so many projects for free on YouTube. You should go and take them. They're great. You learn a lot. But that doesn't mean they're the best projects in the world, right? A lot of my projects, some are healthcare, some are automotive, but maybe you want to get into something else, something like finance. I don't have a lot of finance projects. And so you should try to build finance projects that are specific to something you're interested in, and that'll be really helpful to you. Um, but that's what I recommend. And then, use my projects as a guideline. Like, oh, this is kind of what a project looks like. Here's how you put it into GitHub. Here's how you create a portfolio website. And then you can go build your projects and put it in there. Right. And so that's what I would do. SNK, what are the benefits of subscriptions of your platform? I want to know the difference between your YouTube channel and your Analyst platform. So, analystbuilder.com is my platform. Go check it out in the description. You can get 2 weeks for free. Just try it out. If you don't like it, don't use it. But it is one of the best learning platforms, genuinely, I think, in the world for data analysts specifically, because there's so many platforms that do so many different things. But for data analysts, there's not a lot of platforms just for you. And so YouTube is fantastic. It has so much content, so many different things. But what I did with my courses is I wanted to make them more interactive. So you learn MySQL. I learned MySQL by doing. And so within the MySQL course, when you go and take it, there are practice questions and problems throughout the thing that are built in. It's really, really cool. So we have the code engine in the platform. You don't have to download the data or, whatever. You can just do it in the platform. And then the projects are a lot more advanced. And I cover a lot of topics I don't even cover on YouTube. And so you just learn more. Um, and so that is the biggest thing. And if you want to spend money on it and you're thinking, well, maybe I should do Coursera. Coursera is like double the cost. Oh, I want to do Udemy. Udemy, you get all these different instructors, and some are good, some aren't. And so on my platform, you're getting taught by me. And I think I do a really good job. I get great feedback from people. They love the courses. They think they're, some of the best out there. And I agree with them. I think they're really good. Hey, Alex, your audio is too low. No, my friend, your volume is too low. My audio may be too low. I don't know, but you can just turn up your volume. Let's see. Let's see. So I get asked this question a lot. This is from Sweet Burger Blizz. Mr. Alex, I'm from Nigeria looking for international roles, something like a remote job. What is your advice? I have been a data analyst for 3 years now. So I don't know a ton about the experience I'm going to tell you is what I have. It may not be the best advice in the world, but this is the advice that I have personally. When I was working as a data analyst, and then when I became a manager, we had a lot of people we worked with that were international, from India, from Mexico, from Lithuania, from different parts of Europe. And almost all of them, besides maybe one or two that was like really specialized, they kind of own their own thing. One or two of them, almost all the other ones worked for some type of consulting company. So in Mexico and Lithuania, in India, a lot of them worked for companies like Accenture. That's just an example. That is a consulting company where you get hired in, and then they kind of hire you out to other companies. And so you go through their vetting process. And so that is what I advise most people to do. I don't know if that's the best advice in the world, but that's my experience. With people who are international wanting to work, like let's say in the US or the UK or Canada, they're wanting to work for a company there because there's higher pay. That is my advice, but I don't know if that's the best advice. Taki's here. Don't mess with Matthew or Taki. His real name's not Taki, but I like calling it Taki because I don't know. I just do. He said, "Don't repeat it." All right. What should this is from Hussein Musi. Hi, Alex. I love your content. What should I learn first, Python or SQL? SQL, 100%. Learn SQL. It is the building block of working with data. It's like Excel and SQL are the first two things you should focus on. Every person, just so you understand the basics of how to work with data, how to work with, let's say, dates. It's really complicated. It's so easy to mess up. So understand that before you get into like Python. Python isn't as in demand as SQL is. So I 100% would learn SQL. Matthew, geez, stop answering my questions. Good night. What am I even here for? Matthew, come on down. I'll get you on the stream. I'm just going to put him in here. He can wear one of those bald caps, and then he can just say he's Alex. No one will know. Nobody would know. All right. Let me see. Um, let's see. I've completed Azure today. Awesome. I'm guessing you mean the Azure series on YouTube. That Azure series is great. Gives you great fundamentals of how to use Azure. Highly recommend Azure and AWS. I think those are such needed skills that not a lot of people have. Not enough people have. And so take those. Those are great. Hey, Matthew, get out of here. I used SSIS for years. All right. SSIS holds a special place in my heart, and I will not back down. Although it is not the most in-demand skill. Uh, you learn how to use SSIS, you can learn how to use anything. All right. That's my motto. Let's see. Have you ever used DBT? Do you think it's worth learning? Yes, I have used DBT. For data analysts, maybe it's worth it. It's not going to be used a ton for data analysts at a lot of companies. Um, uh, I'm just going to look up. Oh my gosh, I'm just going to look up DBT real quick. I'm going to say for data. I'm doing this live. DBT for data analysis. I don't know if it's like the best thing in the world. People can use it 100%. I've used it, but I don't know if I'd recommend learning it. Um, Here's what I would say about DBT. It can be good for certain types of data analysts, specifically like data collection, people who do a lot of data cleaning, stuff like that. But is it worth learning? It's low on the totem pole, if that's even the right use of the expression. Matthew gave gave me $5. Listen, at this point, that's $20 a month. That's too much, Matthew. All right, let's make this a once a month thing. You're gonna fatten me up. But he said, "My bad, big dog." Uh, I don't know if you knew this. I say big dog to my son all the time. I call him big dog. I don't know if you knew that. I don't know. I don't know how you knew that. It's kind of creepy. Kind of weird that you said that. Now I'm concerned. All right, let's see. Yeah, but DBT though, Anna Marie Dolan. DBT is like, if you want to learn it because it is really cool. It's open source, really neat tool, but I don't know. I don't know. It's not high priority in my opinion. All right, let's keep going. I'm reading questions. Some of them I skip on purpose because I've already answered them like 10 minutes ago, or it's just a question that's it's not something I feel like I should need to answer on the call. How to have the mindset of dev to be a data engineer? I don't know. So inside this is to Honda Fall. I don't know what the mindset of a data engineer is. I'm not a data engineer myself, but um, I've worked with a lot of data engineers. A lot of them are builders, right? They like to build and they like to code and like to figure out how to streamline things. And so if you can automate something, you can build something, and then you can go back and say, how can I build this better? And you dig into it and you really try to figure it out. That is like the mindset of a data engineer. That's kind of what you need to do, is how can I optimize this? How can I save company money? That's why you get paid. Let's see. Let's see. This is an interesting question. Chathan BA. Hi, after doing basic Python and SQL, how do you step into a data engineer? And SQL to step into data engineering, sometimes with data analysis to know PySpark, cloud, etc. Can I get some idea of what order, which are free and open source? Okay, so this is a great question. A lot of people get started with the basics: Excel, SQL, Python, Tableau, and that's great. You 100% recommend you need to do that. But then he's like, what if you want to start breaking into more advanced stuff like Databricks and PySpark and all these more advanced tools? That's a big leap. It can be a big leap. So what's kind of that bridge? How do you get there? Here's my opinion what you should be doing. One, you have to understand the fundamentals very, very well. The reason for this: Excel, SQL, Tableau, Python. You learn those 4 skills. The basics of one of those is going to be in these more advanced tools. Take PySpark. There's Python mixed with Spark. It's a different language, but it's very similar. I used PySpark for like 2 years in Databricks. You learn how to use, let's say, a database, so SQL. Then you're learning databases in AWS and Azure and how to store data. That's completely transferable, but you have to know the basics. So you have to know it really well, not just a little bit about like, oh, the data goes into SQL. I really think you should dive a little deeper, right? What are data types? How do data types sit? How are they optimized in these systems? These aren't things that data analysts typically have to know, but if you know them, you're going to be so much better at your job. That's kind of like how I progressed in my career. I started getting just way more in depth in the nitty gritty, the things that most data analysts maybe don't care about. And I started looking at it from like a holistic perspective on more like the data engineering side, the data architecture side, the data analysis side, and you combine those and you learn a lot. So that's how you bridge that gap. So you learn the basics extremely well, and then you start using all these other tools, and you'll start realizing all these other tools are just like these simpler tools, but for different purposes, and they display it differently. For example, I learned Tableau first. Tableau is my first BI tool. I learned Power BI very quickly after that. Then I learned Looker. And then I've used all these other tools, but they're all basically the same thing if you know how to think about it. And so it's the same with all these more advanced tools. These advanced tools like PySpark, like Databricks, like AWS, like Azure, like Google Cloud Platform, and then all the tools within it, they have the same fundamentals. And so you just need to learn the basics. And what I would do, in my opinion, is take my data analyst bootcamp. It's completely free, all open source. You won't spend a dime, but you will learn SQL, Excel, Python, Azure, AWS, R, Azure. What else? There's more things in there. I just can't even remember. Learn the basics of these things first, then go a little bit more in depth, and then try to go into these other tools. That's what I would do. That's a great question, though. It is tough to bridge the gap. The other piece of that is just getting experience, because I got hands-on experience for many, many years, and then it just, you learn. That's how you learn, is building things, and you know, that's just the best way to learn. Here we go. Ian McLav. This is an interesting question. I had a very similar thing happen. We currently are starting a huge project for us, moving from a CSV file to a Power BI into Power BI into Microsoft Fabric. I'm being dropped into managing this project. Do you have any tips on where to focus my efforts? Um, so CSV and just like dropping into Power BI, really simple. Really simple. You can use things like Power. Oh, jeez, what's the name? Now I'm blanking on the name. Not Power Automate. Maybe it is Power Automate. I can't. My brain's not functioning. But there are tools within Power BI just to go and pick up a CSV file, either with a batch or a folder, whatever it is. But then you move into Microsoft Fabric, which is a more encompassing, larger system of tools. Similar tools, all within the Microsoft ecosystem. Similar tools, they just do things on a larger scale. So I'm guessing you're going to have more data. Um, but what I would be doing, if you know nothing about it, is not to just jump in. That is like the worst thing you can do. If your company has the ability, I would hire on personally, and I did this a long time ago when we were switching from Power BI, CSVs, small, all siloed data into uh, Azure Cloud, right? Totally different. We hired on a consultant to come in for like a month or two and help us design a schema, help us design, how we want to have our data sit. Do we want it in a data warehouse? Do we need it in a data lake? Do we want it in a database? If you don't know these things, I don't recommend just jumping in. You're going to have a huge bill. You're not going to store it properly, and that is usually where most people mess up. Is they don't store their data properly, and it causes a big issue. The other place people mess up um, is they jump into automating things. And automations, if you don't do them right, oh boy, that bill is going to be big O, with lots of zeros at the end. And so I don't recommend jumping in if you don't know how to do it. That's okay, because I didn't either. I just knew, a little bit about Azure. And so I was like, this is a big project. Let's hire somebody. I hired on a consultant. They taught me so much. In 2 months, I learned so much about consulting, or not consulting, about Azure and how to store data, and the best way to store our data was worth every penny. It wasn't my money. It was the company's money, but worth every penny. Tango asks, really struggling with pivoting into a data analyst role, as my current role really focuses on analysis, but only leverages SQL and Excel. How can I go about improving this to be more employable? This is a great question. Um, that sounds like me when I first started. I was in a data collection specialist and analyst role. That's what it was called. But it wasn't really a data analyst role. And so, give me a sec. I got to make sure this. Okay. Okay. Um, it wasn't really a data analyst role. So how did I pivot, and how do I recommend pivoting? One is, if your role does data analysis, you're doing data analysis. If you're using SQL and Excel and you're doing it for analysis, that is data analysis, whether you have the title or not. Um, for some people, depending on what you're doing, I would just recommend having data analyst as that job title for your role, right? If you're pivoting into that role, having experience showing that you're doing it, you don't want to be like a store clerk. and that's your job. But in your job, you're not doing store clerk. You're actually behind the scenes working with data and the finances. They just That's your title. And so make the title appropriate. Maybe it's just data collection specialist, or I don't know what you do in there, but make it appropriate for what you do. I'm okay with that. I don't think that's lying. I look at that as I'm mistitled in my job if I'm doing data analysis and I don't have a data analysis title. But then improving your employability is going to be about upskilling. SQL and Excel is good for a small portion of jobs, right? But if you want to expand and make yourself available for 50, 60, 70% of all the data analyst jobs out there, take my data analyst bootcamp. Learn, beyond that, Tableau, Power BI, Python, R, AWS, Azure. Learn these things, and that can really help you. Pierre France, another question about data sets. Go back in my thing and look at data sets. We're back in the stream. I've talked about it about 2 or 3 times. What I would recommend is using data.gov or Google Dataset Search. Go look at those two things. Tips for quant aspiring developers in analyzing data. I'm not 100% sure I know exactly what that means. But a quant is somebody who works typically in finance, who's very statistics and mathematics heavy, doing a lot of mostly calculations, forecasting, things like that. Um, we use that stuff in data analysis, depending on the data and the reason for it. But Manika Verma, I need more information on kind of what you're talking about because I don't know exactly how to help on that one. Let's see. Jaskarit Singh Narang. Hello, Alex. My question is how much learning or tools is enough to being a fresher, and how can we land our first job where we can gain some experience? Which is one of the toughest things about uh, being a beginner in this area is you need to learn enough, you need to know enough, and then you want to get a job so you can really learn a lot, like hands-on learning. That's how most people learn best. My recommendation, and if you go through my data analyst bootcamp, it is free. If you go through that and you know everything in that, you are more than ready for a beginner level job. More than ready. Um, if you want to go beyond that, you can go on Analyst Builder, take some more of my advanced courses. But you don't need to do that for an entry level role. I don't believe you do. If that's just a better platform to learn it on, but my free data analyst bootcamp, if you can learn everything on that, you are more than ready. Oh, geez, it skipped down again. Oh my goodness. Power Query. Power Query. Thank you. Geez, Matthew, that was driving me nuts. That was driving me nuts. It wasn't Power Automate or whatever I was calling it. Maybe it was Excel or I can't remember. Sometimes all these like acronyms and terms get jumbled up in there and I forget. Yes, Power Query. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, guys. Good night. Let's see. I'm just reading through questions. All right, this is a good one. Aubrey Lasetta. Hey, Alex. Thanks for your time. Any data cleaning tools to master in Python? Python specifically. Um, I've used quite a few. Some really niche ones that were designed specifically for very small niches, and then I've used broad tools. I love pandas. I just do pandas and polars. Pandas and polars. Polars is like a souped up version of pandas for a lot of data, for big data. Pandas is like bread and butter. That's what most people will need. Those are what I recommend. Those are the tools that I would use. That's it. That's my take. Just reading through questions. Give me a sec. This is an interesting one. I don't know I haven't thought of an answer. I'm just going to read it. Robert said, "Hey Alex, do you feel one's IQ matters when working as a data analyst?" Um, That's a good question. I don't think so. I mean, I think IQ is, I don't know. IQ just means whether you can think critically or not, in my opinion, right? So IQ, they do these tests and they can test your IQ, and they're usually like kind of thought-provoking questions, and you have to really think about them, and then you answer them, and then you get your IQ back. I'm not a huge believer in that. I just think some people in different areas have higher IQ in certain areas and lower IQ in certain areas, and other people higher IQs in the areas that someone else doesn't. So if somebody has a just a good intuition, good critical thinking, then I don't care what your IQ is. If you know that industry really well, then you're going to be really smart and a really good professional in any industry. I really just in general believe that. There are very smart people who you might say have a low IQ, but they're very smart in certain areas. Very smart. So I don't know. I don't think IQ has a big part to play in it. It's just, are you good in that area? Let's see. This is an interesting one. Olabisi Zinat. How do we know which chart to use when? That's a great question. There's so many options for specific types of tabular, modular data. Structured data is there's so many options. So how do you know which one to use? Um, you have to think about it from the perspective of the person who's going to see it. I am a data person. I understand data, I understand charts. I've used the weird ones, right? The ones that nobody else has used. And maybe you want to impress someone. But then they're going to look at it and they're going to be like, what on earth is this? What does this mean? And so if you have to explain it to them for 10 minutes for them to understand what that chart means, I can confidently say that is not the right chart. That's the barometer. How quickly can someone understand what this data says who doesn't understand data or charts? Excuse me, I drank way too much water. Just ignore that. That didn't happen. That's the barometer. If someone can look at it easily and understand it, wonderful. You did a good job. That's a good chart. You could do another one. It could be just as understandable. That could be a great chart. But when it gets too complex for someone to understand, that's when it becomes a bad chart. And so you have to take your end user into account. Oh, I just watched myself with the water. What a fool. What a fool. Anyways, so that's a good question. What's the difference between a data analyst and a data scientist? From Charlotte, Homo sapiens. I'm guessing you live in Charlotte and you're for the people. What's the difference between a data analyst and a data scientist? I've worked with a lot of data scientists. Hand in hand, we literally held hands while we worked. No, we didn't. If my wife's watching, we did not. Uh, but the difference is that typically, not always, but typically, when I was working with a lot of data scientists, and I still do a little, here and there, data scientists are used typically for machine learning and forecasting and predicting and or populating data. They're not they train on historical data to work forward. Data analysts use current data and historical data to look back, looking at trends and patterns historically, looking at, aggregations and aggregated data historically. We aren't typically looking forward. We're not doing a lot of predicting and modeling of the historical data for the future. That is the biggest difference. That is what I would say. If you're talking about just the work that they do, um, data science tends to be more statistics and mathematics heavy and machine learning heavy, oftentimes needing a higher degree in computer science or something associated like that. And so these are usually slightly higher barriers to get into data science as well. All right, let me look at more questions. Some great questions today. I really have been enjoying the questions. Another live stream. So Mr. Number Six wrote this. I don't know why it didn't pop up on my thing. But Mr. Number Six gave a donation. You don't have to do that, but thank you. Another live stream. You're in trouble with the wife. Yep. With every live stream, I get in trouble with her more. Let's see. I'm currently enrolled on the website. This is from Dip and M, just trying to find new sources to practice exploratory data analysis for my portfolio. So in almost all the courses on Analyst Builder, there's an exploratory data analysis portion of it, at least with MySQL, Excel, Python, R. Almost in all of these, there's some type of EDA portion of it. And so that's a good place to find good data sets because I use real data sets in all those projects and they're really good. Let's see. Are these recorded? Yes, I'm recording these live, Tyrone Williams, and um, you can watch these later. Why would you want to listen to me for an hour later? Just ramble on and answer random questions? I don't know. We have free will. You can do whatever you'd like. You can go back and watch all my other ones too if you'd like. I'm not going to stop you. I will not stop you. Oh, geez, it skipped down again. I hate when it does this. Here's a question, interesting question. Pavan MG, another question from Pavan, asking some good ones. Hey, Alex, any suggestions on interview nervousness? Interview nervousness. Um, there are just some people who are just very nervous and anxious about interviews. They could be extremely prepared. They're just going to be nervous and anxious. Um, I think one of the biggest tips that I would give is knowing that it's just an interview. Uh, People put a lot of pressure on themselves. Like, this is going to be the one. In my experience, I've been through so many interviews. I've almost become like, I'm like, oh, this should be fun. Because if I don't get it, then I'm just going to do a different interview. I used to be very nervous for interviews because I thought they were every single one was crazy important. I had to do super well, yada, yada, yada. Once I started getting into them, I realized I'm like, I'm just not a good fit for every role. I'm not a good fit for every job. I'm not going to be the perfect person for this job. And if I am, then I'll shine in that interview. But if I'm not, I'm going to bomb that interview because I don't know any of the tools they're using. I don't have the experience they're looking for. And then I'm like, hey, this isn't the role for me. Have a good one. Thanks for inviting me for the interview. So it doesn't, I guess my nervousness went away with more interviews. Once you get into more interviews, you're going to be like, I'm not perfect for everything. I don't have to be. And if you expect yourself to be perfect for every job, you're going to have to know 1,000 tools. You have a 10, 15 years of experience for one that requires one. It's kind of a mindset shift. That's how I get around it. The other thing to do is practice. Practice for your interviews on analystbuilder.com. Let me go. I'm not pulling it up. But if you go to the questions, we have a general technical interview questions. You can go in there and you can ask questions about your greatest weakness. And it uses AI to analyze your question, but we trained it to do and respond a certain way, but it grades your scores and then gives feedback on it. Uh, this is a question on inheriting data issues from previous, people. This is one on stakeholder pressure, pressuring you to do something. How do you answer that question? These are all questions that I've been asked in interviews or I've asked in interviews. So if you want to practice, you can go do that for free. Just sign up for the 2 weeks free below. That's what I would recommend. It's just a great way to practice. Let's keep going. Got to look for more questions. Hmm. Just looking through questions. What's your daily work as a data analyst like? I don't work as only a data analyst anymore, but I can tell you what it used to be. Now I do work as a data analyst and doing consulting, but I also run Analyst Builder, which is my edtech platform. I do YouTube a lot, and then I have a few other things that I do. And so I do a lot of things. I'm not just a data analyst anymore. But back when I was a data analyst, I'd drive into work. Believe it or not, I used to work in person. It was wild. What wild time. I used to work in person. I drive to work. I get there at 8:30. I'd log in at 9. Then, or maybe I got there at 7:30. Started work at 8. I got my coffee, logged in, checked all my emails, checked. We had a stand up at 9, so I go into our stand up with my team, and then we would often look at our projects for the day, and then we're like, all right, where are you on this project? Our project manager, what was her name? It's on the tip of my tongue. If I think of it, I'll give her a shout out. But she was great. She would ask us where we're at with projects. She'd give us, tie things together. We'd know what we were going to do for that day. That's typically how it worked. So then I'd go back and I'd start my work. I usually would be working a lot in SQL. I'd be talking to clients a lot. So I'd have to email clients. I'd have to reach out to different departments or people in my company. And then I need to sit up more. I'm sitting too low. Um, but then I'd go into meetings. I always had lots of meetings, especially the longer I was there. When you get more important, you get into more meetings, then you hate meetings. I did not like meetings, but I'd have a lot of meetings. And then from there, I'd have action things that I need to take on. So then I would add that. I'd go to my project manager and say, hey, would you be able to add these 3, 4 things to my caseload? And she'd say yes. And then she'd add them. And then she'd ping me. And then the circle of life continued as almost every day, just working on different projects, right? Yeah. All right, Victor Adekunle. When you started consulting, was there a fail you learned that guided your approach as you grew? Can you share a guide on starting and how to gain confidence doing it? Yeah, no, I failed a ton. I I notice in my life, I get into something and I'm really confident. I'm like, oh, I really know SQL. And then I get into it and I'm like, I just completely fail. But then I just keep going. My feet just keep going underneath the surface. I just keep doing. And I learn. So when I first started consulting, one of my biggest fails, and I know this may sound dumb, is I completely undercharged. Um, I was charging like $30 an hour for consulting, which looking back was insane, insane for the years of experience I had and what I was doing. I should at least been charging like double for these smaller projects. So I had to get my pricing right. That was a biggest fail. I learned that maybe after a couple months. I'm like, geez, I'm doing a lot of work. I'm not making a lot of money. I'm like, this isn't great. Let me start charging more. And I started looking in and learning about consulting more and found a happy medium. But it was nuts. I was really undercharging. The other thing is, um, I was taking on some projects where I didn't fully know what I was doing, and I wouldn't fully get it perfect. And so in that area, I did fail. I wish I had maybe taken on things I was more confident in. But then looking back, I also learned a lot from those fails. So I took on things I didn't fully know about, but I learned a lot from them. So I don't know if it's a full fail, but my advice is just to go for it and to learn as you go. That's my biggest advice. And I actually have a whole video on data consulting and how to get into it, how to get clients, all these things. I have a whole video. So I'd go watch that. While I'm reading questions, I'm going to take another drink of water. In about 5 minutes, I'm going to be doing a giveaway for free courses. You have to have an Analyst Builder account to redeem the code to get a course. That's my only stipulation. I'm not asking a lot. That's just how it works. You have to do it, and I'll walk you through how to do it in just a little bit. Top 3. So this is from JJ. Hey, Alex, I've been watching your channel for the past 5 years. It's like when I started. Thanks for being an early adopter. I want to know, what are your top 3 features in Power BI and Tableau and Looker? One, drag and drop is great. It makes it so much easier than coding it in something like Python, putting it into, Replit or whatever you want to use to kind of host it and make it into whatever. Um, I like that Power BI can be integrated into a website. I don't think Tableau can yet. Looker can, but just for Power BI, you can integrate the visualizations into a website to make them interactive in the website, which is really neat. And then I love anything that automates data ingestion. So Power Query, being able to pull the data in, process it, automate that process. I love that stuff. I love it. Greg Mock, as someone who is not normally able to watch the live streams, the archive of the live stream is nice, as there is some good advice. Some good advice. Not great, not a lot, but some good advice. Thanks, Greg. I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you. But yeah, I'm glad. That's good. That's why I keep them up there. In fact, usually during my live streams, we usually have about 1,500, 1,500 to 2,000 people come through. When I go look at it like a few weeks later, it's usually about 5,000 to 8,000 people who have watched it. So there is a larger portion of people who do watch the live streams after the fact than people who watch it live. That is some real data right there. Bam. I don't know the answer to this. I'm just going to read it because maybe someone else does. Harash Palaraj, what sort of backend does OpenAI as an organization use? No idea. Haven't thought about it at all. Gotta be cloud-based. I can't imagine they have that many servers running on-prem. uh, but I think they have a partnership with Azure, so they use all of Azure's servers. Um, but no idea what their backend looks like. Haven't thought about it. I might look into it. That'd be interesting to learn about. Let's see. My favorite ice cream flavor is mint chocolate chip. Greg Mock with the hard hitting questions. Uh, I have that has been my favorite ice cream flavor since I was like 10 years old. And in fact, if I had to do by weight the amount of mint chocolate chip ice cream I've eaten versus all other ice creams combined, not by weight, but by percentage, I would say it's 97% mint chocolate chip, 3% other. That is how much I only eat mint chocolate chip. When I go to an ice cream shop, I normally might take a tiny sample of another one, and then I'm like, nope, it's not as good. Give me the mint chocolate chip. That's a fact. That is a fact. All right, I'm going to answer one or two more questions, and then we'll go to the giveaway portion. Well, I'm going to give away some courses. And you guys, some people are going to win, some aren't. Don't get mad at me. Don't email me. People have been doing this. Don't email me. Don't DM me saying, hey, I didn't win the course. Can you still give me a course free? No, I can't. That's how a giveaway works. Is either get it or you don't. I can't control this. I can't control. The universe controls whether you get the course or not. I don't. Okay. Okay, so Victor said he watched the lesson on consulting that I put on YouTube, but he said he's still doing pro bono at the moment. Well, once you do pro bono, you do it a few times. Next request they ask, you say, "Hey, listen, I would love to give you my time. I've taken on a few separate projects. I don't really have time to do pro bono work, but I can give you a reduced rate for these projects um, than my usual rate." Something like that. It's a little trick of the trade. A little trick of the trade there. Javanshu, you are handsome. Thanks. My wife thinks so as well. She told me so. So that's how I know you're telling the truth. Are data analyst jobs dying? No. No. Data analyst jobs are not dying. There are so many data and data analyst jobs out there. It's just right in my opinion, right now the economy is terrible. When the economy is bad, companies don't hire. Or they let people go. You look back historically, this has always been the case. I don't see AI reducing the need or the amount of data analysts needed. I see it increasing the amount of data professionals needed in the future, especially when non-technical people who don't know AI at all start trying to use AI, and then they really need to use it because all their competitors are using it. And then they start hiring on data teams who've never done it before. We're going to see a large increase in data professionals being needed and AI professionals being needed in the next 10 years. 100%. I as of right now, I 100% believe that. If my opinion changes, I'll let you know. All right, guys, the time has come. If you have not, go on to analystbuilder.com, create an account. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. I'm going to give free courses. You're going to redeem the code and you're going to try to redeem it. If you get it, you will get this course for free and you'll have it for life. That's it. So all you have to do is go onto the pricing page on Analyst Builder. Go down to buy. I don't want you to buy any of these courses. This is not a plug. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to give you away my full courses. But click buy on whatever course you want. Let's say it's the MySQL for Data Analytics course. Click buy. It's going to take you to a checkout screen. Don't buy it. I don't want you to buy it, but you have to add the promo code. So there's the promo code. I'm about to give you the promo code. You have to enter the promo code. The total due will go to 0, and then you pay. You won't actually pay anything. It'll be 0. That's just how it works. I can't control everything. That's just how it works. All right, let me go over to create the codes. I don't create the codes early anymore because people were guessing them. They were guessing them during the stream. because they're like inside my head. They like know what I'm thinking. It's insane. All right. Let me go to create code. Give me I'm just giving you guys time to get there. Here we go. So have your code, have that ready to type in this code. All right. I'm going to give you a hint on what it is, and if you want to try to redeem it, it's someone who kept texting me during the live stream, but not her name, what she is to me. That's what I'm creating it as. And I just created it. This code can be redeemed by one person. So one person will get there. Then the next two codes, two people will be able to be redeemed. That's 5 codes total. The code is wife. All caps, just one word, wife. That is the code. One person can redeem that. I'm going to start making the next one. um, the next one, I'll give you a hint. This can be redeemed twice, so 2 people will be able to use this code. This earlier in the stream, I talked about how a certain place you can get a certain agency or where you can get really bad data to really learn well from. It's this entity. It's this entity. I've created that code. It can be redeemed twice. Somebody already redeemed the wife. If you redeemed wife code, let me know what code. Let me know what course you got. You'll know if you got it because it'll go through, and then if you go to your purchases tab, it'll show that you have the course in your purchases. That's how you'll know you got it for sure. If you just redeemed it and it said you redeemed it and went to 0, but you didn't pay for it, you didn't get it. But it's government. The next code is government, all caps. Did I spell government right? Yeah, I spelled government right. Government has horrible data, just messy, out of control, wild data. I use a lot of those that government data in courses on Analyst Builder because it's so messed up. You really learn a lot. All right, this next one has 2. This is our last code. This is what you are to me. This is what you are to me. The code is friend. You are my friend. And that is a fact. And I appreciate you being here. Excuse me. I really do. All right. That is the last code. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Got to give it a little stretch. Yeah. Don't worry about those noises or sound effects. I'm sitting up tall now. I bet I'm off the screen. I don't even know. But those are the, let me see. Did anyone win it? Anyone get it? Let me go see if they've been redeemed. Because if they haven't, maybe someone can pick it up easy. All right. All the codes are gone. People got them. People got the free courses. If you got one of the free courses, if under your purchase tab it says you purchased it and you're good to go, let me know. Let me know. Yeah, all of them were redeemed. If you didn't get one, you just didn't get one. Next, I do this every live stream. So at the end of every single live stream, I do a giveaway. So if you didn't win, you can come back next time. And I will give away more codes for you guys to get free courses. All right. If they go invalid, that means someone else already got it. I don't make the rules. That's just how it works. Gene said, "Hey Alex, I'm a big fan and thanks for Analyst Builder. I have a second round interview today for a junior analyst job. I wish you the best of luck. I hope you do amazing, Gene. I hope you do amazing. I have a good feeling. I have a good feeling about this one. Second round interviews are a good sign. That means you're down to like the final handful of people. Like when I got to second round interviews, I typically was down to like my final 3. So that's not pressure. That just means you're doing a good job. You're a good fit for this position. Really try to be outgoing, smile, answer their questions. You're gonna do great. If it says invalid, it means you didn't get it. Someone else got it before you. I don't make the rules. Live stream every Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern time. 9 a.m. If you didn't win, you can still get a course for free by going down and getting the 2 weeks for free. All you have to do is click on that link. It'll take you to our platform, and you can redeem your 2 weeks free. It is amazing. My team built this out so I can give away free things to people. And I love doing that. So go ahead and take it. Take that. You don't have to, it's super easy. You don't have to even put in a code. But you can get 2 weeks free, and then you could take a course within those 2 weeks for free. That is what I would do. So thank you guys for joining this live stream. I now just keep it to about an hour because I used to go for like an hour and a half, 2 hours because I was doing it like once a month. But now I'm doing it every week. I just do it once a week. All right, guys, take it easy. Thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate you guys coming out and answering. We had some fantastic questions today. Probably some of the best questions we've gotten for all the streams we've done before. All the streams. So great job with the questions. I hope it was helpful to a lot of people. All right, everybody, take it easy, and I will see you in the next live stream or the next video.